I'm Matt Marco.
I'm Jose Aliaga. Welcome, everyone. Thanks,
So,
Matt. I'm happy to be here.
Jose, this is the first time we've done this show since you are the official supervisor of Independence Township. Congratulations on that.
Thank you, Matt. It was a lot of hard work. And again, America, everything is possible.
Everything is possible, and you are an immigrant from Peru, and to come and be successful is the American dream. And that's one thing that we have to continue to be, is an inspiration to attract the best and the brightest from countries around the world. And you're an example of that, my friend. So thank you for coming here.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you. Appreciate that kind of words.
So since we last talked, there's a lot that is that's gone on, and we should get into. One thing was, for example, so Joe Biden he let the merchant of death out of prison and back to Russia. This was a big coup for Putin to get this major arms dealer back. And who knows what kind of havoc that's going to reap on us, not as well as it's going to help Russia's war effort in Ukraine.
Right, it's kind of sad. As you know, Joe Biden is not well known about making good decisions. So far, every single decision led us to bad economy, inflation, unsafe the borders, and now this type of decision make us look again weak. And
Right.
It's not because Putin can smell the weakness of our leadership, and that's why he's moving forward with his agenda, where Biden don't have agenda, and it's really sad.
And President Trump was able to release all these prisoners around the world, and he didn't trade for it like that. And he had the opportunity to get a trade with this merchant of death, and he realized that it wasn't worth it, that it's better to keep this guy behind bars. So once again, Biden is just making bad decisions.
Right. And when I says Biden doesn't have agenda, I mean Biden doesn't have a positive agenda to make sure that the United States is still number one.
Right.
We have China, we have Russia attacking us. And I remember during the presidential campaign time during Obama in 2012, the debate was about how Russia can become stronger and against the United States. And now Russia is clearly not just against us, but their policies and everything is making it look really bad, since we have a weak and mediocre leadership at this point.
That's right. One thing President Trump reiterated that Ronald Reagan also approved is peace through strength. And when you have a weak leader like Biden, that totally diminishes our strength as a deterrent. And what happened in Afghanistan with that disastrous withdrawal that Biden did shows that weakness, and it has emboldened people like Putin to attack Ukraine. And it's also emboldened Xi, who is now making all sorts of threatening moves towards Taiwan. And you see Iran working on their nuclear program, as well as North Korea shooting missiles. So all this weakness has definitely proven that weakness brings war. But another thing I wanted to get into, Jose, was this omnibus spending plan has got my ire up. They had to fund the government, and they decided the legislature funded it all the way through the end of the fiscal year, which goes like through September. $1.7 trillion, which is ridiculous. And what they should have done, Jose, is just fund it for 2 weeks to let the new House of Representatives come in and do what we elected them to do, to cut the spending and the craziness. For example, Biden's plan to fund 87,000 more IRS agents. Give the House a chance to not fund that. But no, now it's been funded all the way through September. Jose, very maddening.
Well, again, taxpayers don't like that. And it's sad because they keep raising taxes. The whole state of Michigan and many states is suffering, not just from the federal level, the state level, county level. They keep raising our taxes, and the way how they utilize our money is in the wrong way.
That's right.
We don't see the benefits out of it. We just keep seeing how big government keep growing, keep asking for more taxes, but our economy is crashing, is inflation keep going up.
And I want to talk about inflation because that's the cause of all this inflation is the borrowing of money to fund all this spending. And Biden is trying to say, oh, no, this is a worldwide inflation is a global phenomenon. But actually, Jose, it's not. And you'll see here in this chart that inflation is only at 2.8% in China and 3% in Japan, whereas it's over 8% in the United States. So it's from our massive spending that the Democrats have been doing. Not only this omnibus spending, but the Inflation Reduction Act, which was a fortune. And then before that, the American Recovery Act. Trillions of dollars being spent that was unnecessary, causing the M1, that's the money supply, to go up and the borrowing. And that is what has fueled this inflation, Jose.
And it's curing a lot of cities and a lot of people in America, because when you see the government says we're going to raise your salary by call at 2% or something like that, but the inflation is 8.2, you didn't get any increase. Most people have their gas, electrical bill went almost 200% up. They raised 200%. I know people that live in small houses, they pay $50. They pay $50 back in January 2022. Now in December, they're paying $145 for gas.
Right.
Same thing. So what I'm saying here is the increase in right now in the common bills, electrical, gas, internet went almost 200%. There's too much increase. It's because inflation, but when you see your salary next year, it can increase 2%, doesn't help anyone.
And what's fueling the inflation is this massive spending, and they're not stopping it. And here the Fed is trying to raise interest rates to slow inflation. They can't keep up with the government spending. Nope. And the government is just spending more and more, trillions more than what we take in. And Biden is lying about it. He, in the 2 years, has added $7 trillion to our national debt, which we're over $31 trillion now. Just the interest on our national debt is $1 trillion a year. And he's lying about it because he's added $4 trillion to the national debt in his first year, $3 trillion to the second year, and says, oh, I reduced the deficit by $1 trillion. That is total misinformation and a lie. And he says that, and our media, our press does not call him out on that, Jose.
And I know. And then when they bring some of the proposal bills like Inflation Act, they want to raise or they're going to spend money or raise taxes or whatever to support this bill called Inflation Act or whatever. When you read the bill, the money doesn't go to help inflation at all. It goes to other things.
And actually it's a Green New Deal bill, and it has more to do with restricting our energy production and spending money on putting electric charging stations around and things that are absurd like that, just right. and giving money to other countries and things.
And I'm very concerned because what happened now is they brought more than 3 million undocumented, well, people that cross the border, I will call them. They cross the border, more than 3 million people this year. Most of them are going to apply for social services, food stamps. They're going to apply for Medicaid in different states, obviously. They're going to apply for cash assistance, which is a free money they get. Some of them are going to apply for SER, people that have money to pay gas, electrical. Some of them are going to apply maybe for some of these types of assistance anyways, Section A and all that. Who's paying that is taxpayer. People currently working hard and paying their fair share, taxes and all that.
It's beyond that. They have to borrow the money.
Right. We borrow the money sometimes for China. I 100% agree with you. But we add all these people, and most of them, as you know, we just crossed the border just last week when you saw this, when the governor from Texas have to bring a bus and bring these people to Kamala Harris, and people got upset. But think about it. How many people coming to El Paso, Texas, Arizona, Florida, and we have all this amount of people.
Right.
And some of them don't speak English, and some of them don't have the traits, or some of them don't have the knowledge. It's the truth.
And then Biden.
Now we have to pay for that. And then who's paying is, our money, like you said, but there's no fair for us right now.
And Biden tried to expire a law that helped restrict some of this because of COVID, of bringing them in. And fortunately, our Supreme Court has stepped in now to try to maintain that for a while.
Yeah, and then people says, we want to help people. Yeah, we are good neighbors. United States always helped through USA, a lot of those countries. But people have to understand, those countries in South America are very rich countries. They have a lot of wealth. They have natural resources, right. Unbelievable natural resources. The only reason they're poor countries is because they have been electing communists and socialist dictators and all that. That's why they're poor, because they choose to elect socialist or communist people like Peru, Ecuador, or some of those, Colombia, Chile. When they elect people like socialists and all that, they always do the same thing like some Democrats here, raising taxes, bad decisions, and that's why the economy is still how it is.
Right.
Poor.
And not only that, Jose, they are not refugees, because if you are feeling threatened in a particular country, let's say you're in Colombia, you pass into a contiguous country and another one that is you're not threatened, then you're no longer a refugee because now you're safe. So if you go into Mexico and you're feeling safe and all that, you're not a refugee then going into the United States asking for asylum. So that actually defies that definition. And the director of Homeland Security over there in Mayorkas letting all these people in and then lying about it, saying the border is secure. They're coming over by the thousands every day, Jose, and you know that everybody knows.
I know everybody knows that. The only countries that have open borders so far are Somalia, which don't have a government, and United States.
Yep.
Right now, because if you want to go to Mexico, then we ask you for your passport and everything, And Mexico won't give you a food stamp. They won't give you any goodies. I mean, it's the truth.
And part of the problem is, Jose, one of the biggest things that has made this country great is a free press that can criticize and analyze and expose bad government policy. And now, thanks to Elon Musk buying Twitter and exposing what has been going on, that the government has actually influenced Twitter, and one can assume all the other, not only social media sites, but all of the media sites. The government is involved. The media sites have been complicit to become, rather than the fourth pillar of our democracy, which would be to check and balance, they've just become a propaganda arm now of the Democrat Party. And now they can, all these things that we've exposed through these Twitter files is child pornography and Biden's corruption, the bribes he was taking, that was exposed in Hunter Biden's laptop and all that, that they suppressed that information, that the FBI asked them to suppress it, and the FBI abuse and the shadow banning that's going on. And all these things that are going on, it's just an outrage, Jose.
I 100% agree with you. What happened with Twitter, since Elon Musk bought Twitter, is brought to the light the darkness of what happened during several campaigns, elections,
Exactly.
And it's sad because Joe Biden never had the polling that he has on Twitter. That was a lie. They canceled Donald Trump, who wrote the facts of what happened. So it's sad how the freedom of speech is restrained by the Democrats during the whole time.
And not only did they suppress information, Jose, that would help Biden get elected, they suppressed information about the vaccine and the complications from it. The information people should have had before making a decision to get vaccinated. And this is the type of suppression of information that could lead to people's deaths.
True. And, people that are watching this probably right now, we brought good points today, and they're probably going to be commenting in our video. But for them, I mean, it's very important to vote. And I think on the election, I talk about Michigan, we didn't have a lot of conservatives or Republicans that went and voted. People that not identify with either party, but are concerned about the economy. We didn't have a lot of strong
Candidates.
not just also candidates, but the people that show up to the polls. I mean,
Right.
Michigan now we have elected Whitmer, which she's done a terrible job in my opinion. Now we're gonna deal with that for 4 more
Well,
years.
look how
The county,
and that goes back to
commissioners-
also how the press has restricted information about all the people that died in nursing homes because of her policy to put COVID infected people into the nursing homes with elderly people. It caused thousands of deaths, and the press covered that up. And not to mention all the people that have voted with their feet have left the state of Michigan. And that's the type of thing that the press covers up and helps her get reelected.
You know, and people don't know this, but every time we keep losing population, we're losing representation in the Congress. I remember back in the day, we used to have 18 Congress people representing Michigan. Now we went down to what, 14, 13? Again, we keep going
and that's
down.
huge. That and which means those other states like Florida, they're picking up county, so they get more influence and all that. And Michigan is losing its influence because people vote with their feet. They got to vote with the ballots, and we got to get a better government in place, Jose.
And the reason we're losing people is because the government, the state government is not able to overcome, bring more jobs. And we're losing jobs, we're losing people. People is going more to the south. By the way, Republican, conservative states like Texas, Florida, to find a job because the economy is doing much better.
Right. And now that Michigan has a Democrat legislature as well as a governor, there's a lot of things that are at risk now that'll make Michigan less competitive. We'll probably talk about that in a future video. But if they remove right to work, if they raise the minimum wage, things like that will make Michigan less competitive from the surrounding states. And when a company is coming in from overseas or wherever, build a factory, that will make Michigan lower on the list to be considered.
100% agree with you. I mean, I don't see it right now with the next 4 years. I don't see something brighter in Michigan right now. After we lost the legislature, basically, Whitman is going to keep moving forward with his policies, and which are not the right policies, obviously. And I don't see that very soon that we're going to have our states bringing a lot of jobs.
Right. We've lost our checks and balance by having a Republican legislature to counteract her. Although our Republican legislature has been was very disappointing. And unfortunately, now we're going to have a Democrat majority legislature. And as I mentioned, this could put the state at a lot of risk.
But do you think when we lost Oakland County after, you know, I mean, Brooks is not with us anymore. We have, you know, basically a lot of Democrats in the county now. Losing Oakland County and keep losing Oakland County, if we don't get back some seats in the county commissioner or county-wise, get some of the seats like treasury or clerk or prosecutor or water resources, one of those, do you think we're going to keep losing Oakland County and eventually Michigan become totally blue? Because, you know, Oakland County was kind of, in some way we can say Oakland County helped us to actually carry a Republican governor.
You know, to answer your question, Jose, yeah, we're at that risk, but we can turn this tide. And right now we're at the point where we're picking new leadership in the Republican Party. We just put in a new chairman of the Oakland County Republican Party, Vance Patrick. And I've actually been working with him to recruit and pick possibly a new executive for Oakland County for this position. We need to get another strong candidate to run for executive, the next Brooks Patterson. So I've been working with him on that. Also at the next NORC meeting, which is on January 25th, I've invited the candidates running for chairman of the Michigan Republican Party, because we've had a great void in leadership in this whole election cycle. Where was the chairman of the Michigan Republican Party? Nobody ever heard from him. He was absent. So we need strong leadership to try to turn this around and to prevent what you were talking about, Jose.
And that's great. That's good news, because we need to start now. We need somebody able to raise the money that we need. And sometimes it's not just only the money. The money is important, but the message.
Right.
And we need to get the message not just to circle group, but everybody.
Right. And that's a great point. Good messaging. We need a chairman that can unify the party, can raise the money, and get that messaging out that you're talking about, Jose. So there's a lot of work to do. We have to find a good, talented leader, because there's been a leadership void at the worst time when we went into this election, and Michigan has gone completely blue. And I blame not only the leadership in Michigan GOP, but also our elected leaders, as we've talked about before, the Senate Majority Leader, the Speaker of the House, which unfortunately now, because of their bad leadership, is all becoming Democrat.
Well, I have a lot of hope for Vince Patrick and the Republican Party in Oakland County, and I know we have great people in Newark, like you, Matt. You're the president of Newark, and you have been working really hard, and we want to keep in the next election for sure while for Republican.
We've got to make more places like Independence Township, which has elected a strong Republican supervisor, and we're going to use that as a guide that if we can do that in Independence Township, we can do it throughout Oakland County, and then we can do it throughout Michigan, right, Jose?
Of course, for sure.
Very good, Jose.
So we're going to do it again for sure, and I'm very optimistic about Oakland County. Now that you mentioned that Vince Patrick, you're right. He got the chairmanship in the Oakland County, and you helping out. That's gonna make the difference. I know that you've done a great job with Newark.
Thank you.
I can see it because the meetings on Newark now have hundreds of people. You have been increasing membership, more people involved. I see a lot of minorities. Then I didn't see it way before. Now I see a lot of Hispanic, Afro people. I hear diversity.
Yeah, bringing younger people. So that's the strength of the Republican Party. And what I've been seeing, Jose, is the grassroots, people who were never politically active before, seeing what's going on in the world, the inflation and all that, the war, these things, they get upset. They say, now I'm going to get involved. They become active. We call them the grassroots. They become activated, and they're coming out to Newark as a place where they can do something and get involved, become informed. But anyway, Jose, you're doing a great job there in Independence Township, and we're going to have to do more of these shows. I'm glad that even though that you're the supervisor now of Independence Township, you're still making the time to make videos like this.
Thank you, Matt. Always an honor and privilege to be here in the show with you. And, happy that you put that time to educate people, voters through Newark and this show, so people know really what's going on, what the average people feels, because as you know, the liberal media always bring the wrong narrative and making people believe that we live in the American dream, which the reality is different. We
got to fight for it.
Difficult times for everybody.
And we can't be like Jose. We can't be like those dictatorships that control the media and put out propaganda. We have to make sure that people are well informed as to what our government is really doing out there.
True.
Jose, Happy New Year to you, and Happy New Year to everybody that's watching this.
Thank you, Matt. Happy New Year, everyone, and thank you, Matt. I'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.